being able to leverage AI to take away tasks that can be repetitive, that are actually complex, and take time to figure out, and freeing them up to be creative and to be true problem solvers, not solving issues that are created by technology, but actually solving problems, theoretical problems or real problems that we're dealing with.
Welcome to the Risk Never Sleeps podcast, in which we learn about the people that are on the front lines delivering and protecting patient care. I'm Ed Gaudet, the host of our program, and today joining us is Anahi Santiago, Chief Information Security Officer at ChristianaCare in Philadelphia.
Actually, Delaware.
Delaware.
But,
Oh, that's right. You live in Philly.
I live in Philly, correct.
And I knew that too. I don't know why I said that. But, and you've been there a decade.
I've been there a decade and 4 months.
Wow.
It still feels like yesterday.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going, and you're still part of the Health-ISAC.
Yes, I'm on the board of directors for Health-ISAC and on the executive committee for the Healthcare Sector Coordinating Council.
Excellent. Yeah. Did you get a chance to listen to Greg's testimony?
Absolutely did.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. How was he?
He did great, as always.
Yeah.
It was, there's a little back and forth between the senators around staying on topic. But if you can get past that and listen to the testimony, I think all four individuals that were invited to testify did a really great job of just portraying the challenges in healthcare and what is going to be helpful and meaningful to move the needle forward.
Yeah, and I heard Linda Stevenson's letter was well done as well. So I haven't
Yes.
had a chance to thoroughly read that, but I skimmed it. It looked great. We're doing so much for the sector and so many challenges that we're faced with. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But before we do, share a little bit about your current organization and your current role with listeners, please.
Sure. So as I've mentioned, I've been at ChristianaCare for 10 years as their CISO. ChristianaCare is the largest health system in Delaware, with facilities in Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And so we cover a pretty large section of the Northeast Philadelphia-ish region.
Excellent. Excellent. And, as you look out over the next 12, 24 months, what are some of your key initiatives? What are things you're focused on?
So as an organization, we've taken on an incredible amount of work. We are currently in the, I would say, beginning implementation processes of migrating from Cerner to Epic, which is a huge lift. In addition to that, we had a regional health system that went bankrupt and closed, leaving a significant portion of southeastern Pennsylvania without healthcare.
Wow.
And so we have purchased several of those facilities and are very quickly working to open them up under the ChristianaCare purview. Pretty significant undertaking, but really important to ensure that a community and an area that has lost a significant amount of healthcare gets it back and gets it back soon. And then we're always a highly innovative organization looking to really expand the scope of what we do. So we often enter into joint ventures and are also in the middle of opening up neighborhood hospitals through joint ventures and surgical centers through other joint ventures. And so I'm sure I'm forgetting half of the things that we're doing currently.
You're busy.
But they all require cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And so our team is really focused on making sure that we're enabling all of those initiatives and that we remain at the forefront of the planning and the development and the implementation all the way throughout, so that we continue to be seen as enablers and not a barrier to productivity and forward movement. So I would say that's a huge area of focus. And then, of course, as a CISO, I've got my own things to worry about in terms of ensuring that operationally we continue to care for patients and that we are staying ahead of the threat landscape and ensuring that we are investing in the right places and ensuring that our team, it feels like they can be successful given just the volume of work that we're consuming. And so that, that takes time. It takes effort, but I think it's a really important component, keeping the team psychologically healthy and thriving. And so, and then making sure that we're doing our part in advancing cybersecurity for the entire industry, not just for our own organization, because I think that's as important as contributing to our existing organization.
I appreciate you didn't say AI, but I've got to ask you. And I know many listeners are in the midst of either starting AI governance committees or in the process of actually thinking about putting those together. Have you done that? Have you gone through that? What learnings have you, could you share with folks?
So as I mentioned, we are highly innovative and always want to be the first to utilize emergent technology. So we are well on our way to adoption. In fact, I shared that I was in a doctor's office with my husband, and I watched the doctor typing, and I thought, you need DAX Copilot.
Where's the ambient? Where's the ambient listening?
I could like that. I was just ingrained. That was my first reaction as to why don't you have AI? So we early on stood up a governance committee as we recognized that there was a large appetite to start to consume the technology, and so we've implemented things like ambient listening in various different ways. We've got AI robots rolling around the hospitals, fetching supplies and bringing them to nurses so that the nurses can actually focus on caring for patients. We're using it to drive down costs in revenue cycle, to increase throughput by utilizing the technology to discharge patients more quickly. We're looking at it in OR utilization. I mean, at this point, I'm not sure where we're not looking to leverage AI in ways that are meaningful and responsible. I think recognizing that a governance committee needed to be stood up, and it needed not only participation from security and privacy, but also clinical care, clinicians, physicians, nursing, research, among other, compliance, among other things. So it's a governance committee that's informed by all of the stakeholders that have to worry about things like ethical use, bias, clinical efficacy, privacy, security. So we've been really thoughtful and intentional in how we create that governance process so that, again, we don't become a cog in the wheel, but manage risk appropriately.
Now, did you create a new function or a new role to manage? Some organizations are creating chief AI officer roles.
We're not there yet. In privacy and compliance, there is now someone with the title of AI. I'm not sure exactly what his title is, but his focus is really around privacy and compliance requirements as they relate specifically to AI. But we have not yet anointed an AI organization or an AI officer, but I imagine that's coming shortly.
Mm-hmm. And does someone from the clinical side chair the committee, or does that new person in privacy chair the committee? Who runs the committee?
So ironically, I chair the
Oh, you
committee
do? Oh, okay.
right now. Right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
it used to be chaired by the head of innovation,
Mm-hmm.
the Innovation Center. That individual has since left the organization, and so I was asked in an interim fashion to lead it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't envision me being the leader in
Mm.
perpetuity, as I'm just a stakeholder,
Right.
not really the one that should be driving this forward. But other duties as assigned, and when needed,
Yeah.
happy to help.
What are some of the things that are coming from an innovation perspective are really exciting you personally? Like, what are things that you're seeing at the forefront that either are going to happen over the next year, or you think maybe taking a little longer, but based on your experience, you're like, wow, this is really cool.
I mean, I certainly think that the AI, the ambient listening, even though, we've had it for a while, it was
Hmm.
amazing to see just how much time back the clinicians could
Yeah.
get, and the patient satisfaction, like the immediate patient satisfaction that was gained. And that, to me, to see value that quickly in an implementation, to me, was mind blowing.
Hmm.
But and even the robots that we have rolling around the hospital, I think are really cool.
Yeah.
They look super high tech, and so for me, I'm an engineer at heart, so I love seeing technology enable um, the mission vision of our organization.
Hmm.
But I'm also seeing, some really cool things that we can do in security. I don't have a huge team. And so being able to leverage AI to take away tasks that can be repetitive, that are actually complex, and take time to figure out, and freeing them up to be creative and to be true problem solvers,
Hmm.
not solving issues that are created by technology, but actually solving problems, theoretical problems, or real problems that we're dealing with, gives them the ability to thrive and
Mm.
find better ways of working and being productive. And so for me, the cybersecurity value that we're getting with some of the AI technology, I think are great. Things like third-party risk management, not having to cull through questionnaires and cull through SOC 2 reports and high trust reports, and enabling them to really think about true risk management, not just the way that somebody answered a question, has actually helped us to move our risk assessments. The minute the vendor gives us the responses on artifacts, minutes, instead of hours. That is great. And the threat intelligence space is another area we can move far more quickly. We used to have manual processes for identifying when third parties were breached. And now we can use AI technology to take all of those intel feeds, do the thing, and tell us where we need to focus, so that we can do things like disconnect.
Hmm.
Because often we find out about an organization having a breach, um, not from the third party,
Hmm.
but from what were our manual processes. And so now we're able to more quickly protect our own network from our third parties. So just really cool ways to move faster and
Hmm.
more efficiently.
You mentioned shared mission a little while ago. What brought you into healthcare? How did you get into healthcare?
Gosh. So I started in healthcare in 2005, as Einstein Healthcare Network's very first information security officer.
Wow.
And so what got me into healthcare was really just a love for information security and an opportunity. And so I was hired in January of 2005 into a very large health system that had zero information security, zero program, thousands of Windows 98 workstations with no antivirus on them. When I say zero security, I mean barely firewalls.
Oh.
And the goal was to get them compliant with the HIPAA security rule that came into effect in April. That didn't happen. That wasn't going to happen in 4 months, but it gave me an opportunity to build the program from the ground up, to really learn healthcare before the adoption of EMRs and all of the technology. I remember when I started thinking, what did I get myself into? I'd come from a global systems and technology company where you didn't get into the building without somebody checking your badge.
Yeah.
You had one workstation, and you knew that every workstation was assigned to an individual, and security was pretty mature into an environment where people were just walking around hallways with no hall passes.
Wild West, people sharing devices and carts.
Shared workstations, shared user IDs.
Right.
Like, it was like, what did I
Passwords taped under the keyboards.
Yes, all of it. But I think I had the benefit of really learning early on and being able to really build a security program before the technology arrived. And I just fell in love with it. And, I spent 10 and a half years at that organization. And then ChristianaCare came calling, and I learned, I quickly fell in love with their culture and the organization as a whole. And now I've been here almost 10 and a half years. And I can't imagine working for a different industry. Like, I tell my team all the time, we're 2 hands away from the patient. Like, we are impacting patient care every day. When I wake up, I know that I'm making a difference in people's lives, even if they don't know it. So it just feels good.
It does. It's amazing. It's like no other industry has that shared mission. Even as a vendor, you feel connected to customers in a way that just doesn't exist outside of healthcare. It's really an amazing industry to be part of, for sure. You had you talked about the culture. What was it about the culture? How's the culture different at ChristianaCare?
So I've never had a contentious and even a semi-contentious discussion with anybody at ChristianaCare. The level of respect and shared mission vision it's permeated throughout the organization. And so when I interviewed at ChristianaCare, and every single person talked about the culture and the mission and the vision, and that, the ChristianaCare way. When you speak to almost a dozen leaders and they're all saying the same thing, it's got to be true. And so they're not words on a wall. It starts with our CEO, and it's lived by every single individual. And that doesn't mean that there aren't disagreements in how things should be done. It's just that the way that conflict is handled is with respect and a common understanding that we're all working towards the same thing. And we have diverse ideas, and they should be embraced, and that our shared values can help all of us be successful. And that's just the culture across the organization. What really sold me was the intense support for cybersecurity and awareness that patient safety that cybersecurity it's not a technology issue, it's a patient safety issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that if we don't do cybersecurity well, we will not be able to care for patients. And again, I heard that from every leader. And it's been that way since. So I felt that I was walking into an organization where I could be successful. I could grow a program. I could invest appropriately. I didn't feel like I was going to fight an uphill battle where I had to justify every decision. And it's literally been that way. I'll give you an example. When I got there, every physician practice had a card swipe attached to the same workstation that was connected to the network, that was being utilized for registration, for scheduling, for email, all of it. And I thought, oh, okay, well, we've got to change this real quick. And so I pulled all of the practice administrators so I could sort of present the solution and explain the problem, present the solution, but recognize that the solution was going to require the front desk people to have to get up and change their workflow. And I knew that was going to be not well received. And so I gathered all the leaders, I explained the problem, I explained the solution, I acknowledged that there were concerns and tried to address them. And when I asked for questions, all I got were nods around the room. And someone said, well, it sounds like it's the right thing to do. So how can we help? And I thought, what
Where am I?
candid camera? Like, what?
Where am I?
Yes. And it's literally been like that for
Wow.
10 and a half years. It's just a really special organization.
That's amazing. That's such a rarity, especially the combination of those two things with great culture and such respect for cyber, not treating it as an expense like a lot of organizations do, but as part of the mission tied to patient safety, which I think is wonderful, which is why we all give back our time to the Health Sector Coordinating Council and to the Health-ISAC and to these other organizations to continue to make it more safe for patients, because we're all patients. We know patients. We've been a patient before. It's everyone understands what we do, whereas any other industry, it's like you can't explain it to your mom. Your mom, wait, what do you do? But in healthcare, I could explain it to my mom.
Yeah, I mean,
Because yeah,
it's really cool, and that culture gives me the time to be able to invest in other areas. And
yeah.
you talked about AI. We held a webinar with all caregivers on Copilot,
Mhm.
so that they could learn how to use it. And when it came time to questions, the first question was from a physician saying, well, I have peer review data that I have to work through. How do I know it's secure?
Mhm.
And the next question was around protecting, and if they use X, how would they know that it's secure? And I'm like, and so literally, I think 80% of the questions were about security. I'm like, I love this. I
That's incredible. Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
like I can just sit back.
That's great. Um, Outside of healthcare, what are you most passionate about? What would you be doing if you weren't doing this job?
Be either at a Phillies game or an Eagles game or at a Sixers game. Just signed up for Savannah Bananas. So really just honestly, what I'm most passionate about is making sure that I maintain a work-life harmony. And you've probably seen me post about this on LinkedIn repeatedly, because I want to be an example to others that you
Hmm.
can be a CISO in a high stress environment and maintain a healthy life. And so I'm very intentional and work
Hmm.
hard at creating boundaries that allow me to be successful at work and successful in life. Whether it's going to sports, whether it's running marathons, whether it's spending time with my parents and family, or whether it's simply just going out to eat with friends. I find joy in life, And I want to maintain that joy in life because I think it translates to joy at work.
Well, you're going to have a joyful, I think, season. You got Barkley, you got Brown, you got Smith. I think ESPN said you've got the best skilled players right now going into the season. So,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
uh,
We all have to temper our emotions right now with the Phillies, because we're all acting like the Phillies are last in the league when we're doing pretty good.
you're doing pretty good. And how about the Sixers? I think Lowry's coming back, right? Did I see that?
I mean, he's been in the league 20 years.
1 year deal,
Um,
though. I mean, that's
yeah, I mean, as a veteran, I think he brings, what we would want, which is
yeah,
leadership
yeah.
and mentorship, and that's important. But in terms of production on the floor,
I know.
10 years ago, I would have done cartwheels to get him.
Hmm.
I'm not upset that he's here, but we need a lot of help with the Sixers, and
Same with the Celtics. We're going through a rebirth right now.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
sad to lose Horford. I really, big Al fan, but
Yeah, it's but we're all emotional in our sports, especially as Sixers and
yeah,
Celtics fans.
yeah. I saw you were in Boston. I think it was during the 4th of July or that week
We
or
were, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We caught a game at Fenway,
nice.
and then unfortunately, my husband had a slip and fall, and
Ugh.
although we stayed in Boston through the weekend,
Oh,
we
that's
didn't
where he
really
fell.
get.
Oh, he fell there in Boston.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was actually walking back to the hotel
oh,
and not familiar with that. It's a hotel. We were in Back Bay. It's a hotel that we haven't stayed before, so he was
mm.
looking at the maps to
Ah,
navigate and stepped off a curve and
oh,
rolled the ankle. So,
oh.
advice to the listeners: put away the phone. Like, just
Keep your head up.
listen to the little voice that gives you directions. Don't look at the phone.
That ankle, that happened to my son-in-law. He was playing soccer and he tore his Achilles and he's up and he just got it operated on and now he's yeah, it's just awful. It's his young guy too. He just
Oh, that's a
I
shame.
it's a shame, but yeah, when you're young and you can't move around and we just had our first grandson and so yeah, so he can't help my daughter out, but he does. He's a great
Oh,
guy. He's yeah,
well,
it's
let's
it's it's
hope.
fun it's fun to watch them with the baby.
Oh, bet.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Thank
being a
you.
grandpa.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, speaking of children, if you could go back in time and you could see your 20-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Honestly, I would tell her to do everything the way you did it.
Mm,
Um, I often share my story, which is I started college at Drexel. And after the first couple of years, my parents ran out of money. And so I had to go full time. I had to go part time. And so I was working as an intern full time during the day. And then I would bartend two other jobs and go to school part time. And I watched everybody graduate. And I felt really frustrated that it took me 9 years to graduate from college. And I felt like I was so behind the eight ball.
hmm.
And through my internship, I actually got a full-time job, and quickly rose to being a project manager for large global infrastructure projects. And each one of them had security. And I wasn't making a lot of money. In fact, I was I think making like $50,000 a year and still bartending because I couldn't
Yeah.
afford. Um, and my friends would say to me, "Why don't they're taking advantage of you? Why don't you go get a different job?" I'm like, I'm learning so much that I see value in the education that I am experiencing. And so I was at that job for 5 years when I got the information security officer job at Einstein. And so uh, I went from a college graduate to in 5 years becoming an information security officer for a
Wow.
large health system in the Philadelphia area. And it was because the path I took created the person I needed to be to
Yeah.
qualify for that job. And I
I
haven't looked
love that.
back. And so for me, sharing that story, it hopefully will help others understand that there is no one path.
No.
But if you work hard and you're tenacious and you keep your eye on the end goal, you can get there.
Yeah, and delay gratification. Believe in yourself, delay gratification. It'll come. I love that story. Yeah, I had a similar experience. I first year in school, my father ran out of money, and I had to go to basic training in Kentucky and win a scholarship to stay there. So I ended up getting a ROTC scholarship, and stayed and became an officer for about 8 years. But you're right. I think that only changed who I've become, but it saved my life because I was a bit of a hippie, beatnik hippie, poet hippie, and I would have been following around these guys. I still follow them around, but like I would have really followed them around. I would have probably gone all in. So I needed the discipline that the military provided. And I love that thought about everyone's journey is so different, which is what's cool about life. Like if you just let it reveal itself and you're just patient, great things happen, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, all right. What's the riskiest thing? This is the Risk Never Sleeps podcast, so I usually ask this question. What's the riskiest thing you've ever done?
Oh, that's easy. Running with the bulls.
Oh, you did that? Oh,
Um,
jeez. Oh my God. That's great.
yeah.
What
That
was
that
that like? That's a first for this show, by the way, the running of the bulls.
um that so that was it ended up being terrifying
Oh,
in many ways.
yeah.
We a friend of mine and I decided we wanted to run with the bulls, and my husband decided he was not going to run with the bulls. He was my boyfriend at the time.
Good
Uh,
choice.
oh, wait till you hear the end of this story. And so we wanted to. Um, there were four guns that go off when you run with the bulls. There's the first one, which is the bulls are leaving the stalls, and that's when people start running. And some people don't ever see a bull, don't ever actually run with the bull. There's a second gun that's the bulls are now in the gate and on the streets.
Oh my
And
God.
that's when you really run with the bulls. And then there's the bulls have entered the stadium, and then the bulls have gone inside the tunnels of the stadium. And we really wanted to run with the bulls, so we wanted to be at that second gun. And as we're waiting, a gentleman came up to me and said, "Wow, um, you're the only woman that is at this stage." And as we were discussing, I looked around and I realized I was literally the only woman because it's not the bulls that are the problem, it's the stampede of men and people that are the problem.
Mm.
So I grabbed my friend and told him what I had just learned. And so we sort of made our way to a wall so that we could still run with the bulls, but I wouldn't get run over. And so as the second gun went off, people started charging. And he was just literally protecting me up against the wall and like staving people off. And then eventually we saw the bulls and we started running with the bulls because it had thinned out a little bit. And the bulls ran past and we were so excited. And at one point, I turned around to say to my friend, "This is so much fun. Like, this is incredible." And I see him running towards me and he just pushes me. And to protect yourself in case the bulls get turned around, they have these planks. And so he had pushed me into what in between the wooden planks. And as I'm falling back, I see the bull slam the guy that was next to me up against the standing plank and then turn around and barely um, hit my friend with his horn.
Mm,
And then the bull got turned around, saw the handler, and kept running.
mm,
And so eventually, so the guy that got hit by the bull was knocked out cold. Like they just dragged him under the planks and called a medic. And then we ended up running, continuing to run. Um, Once we heard the third gun that the Bulls were in the stadium. But the reality of it is you have to run into the stadium to finish your run. And so we had to run in, and the Bulls are just in the stadium with people who are crazy messing with the Bulls.
oh,
So we ran in the stadium and quickly jumped into the stands away from the Bulls. But it wasn't until like I was so pumped full of adrenaline that I didn't realize like what had really happened. I mean, I knew what had happened, but like I didn't really realize like how risky that was. And it wasn't until I got in the car to leave that it all hit me. And
oh,
I started crying. Like I
yeah, the
literally just started
adrenaline.
crying.
You're coming off that adrenaline.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So
he
if you had
saved your
asked
life.
it would, yeah, he really did. Because of course I was wearing the cute little red shirt.
Oh,
But
they like red.
yes, I know it is. It was everything about that decision was dumb. And if you
But
had
what a
asked,
story. What a story. The best,
I
by the
know.
way, the best Risk Never Sleeps story. I'm going to just say it right now. We've had some good ones, but this is it. This is the top story.
Yeah, yeah. If you had asked my 34-year-old self, what would you do differently? It would be that.
Don't run with the bulls.
Don't run with the bulls. It's not smart.
That's great. Well, I was going to ask you to share a fun fact that many people may not know about you, but I think you just told us one. So, uh,
I mean, I've managed to get myself in quite a few situations. So
uh,
another fun fact that I'm sure nobody knows is that somehow in my 20s, I ended up in Allen Iverson's bachelor party limo.
oh my God. Oh, that's not risky. Bachelor party.
His bachelor party, yes. Um,
What was
my
what
girlfriend and
was
I,
that like?
that I was actually smart enough to say to my girlfriend, we need to get out off this limo. So it was one of those like party limos, like the
Yeah.
vans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We were at a special event and a few of the Sixers were there. And after the event was Allen Iverson's bachelor party. And so they invited us to come along. And
I
we
bet you they did. Oh my God. I
and
think I'd rather run with the bulls.
but I am a diehard Sixers fan.
I
So for
know.
me, it was
Yeah.
like, of course I can't, I'm going.
Yeah.
And so we did. And they were on the way to the strip club.
Oh,
And luckily, at some point, I got my wits about me and realized this is really dumb.
this is
Like,
not going to end well.
this is not where we need to be.
Yeah.
And so I said to my girlfriend, like, we've gotta get off this limo. And she's like, "Are you
Eject.
crazy?" I'm like, "No, no, no. I think being here is crazy."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Allen Iverson is not known for good decisions. Like this isn't LeBron James. This is,
That's
um,
right.
and
This
so
isn't Michael Jordan or someone.
yeah. Like eventually we got off the limo,
Oh,
and they went on to the strip club. I never heard that anything bad happened, but I'm still glad got off the limo.
oh, okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. If you're on a desert island, and you could bring only top 5 records or albums with you, what would you bring?
Ooh. Um,
What do you like musically?
yeah, so I think I would bring um, War by U2,
Ah, good.
um, really anything by Coldplay,
Oh,
uh,
nice.
something by Linkin Park so I could get my workout in,
Nice.
um, something from Tribe Called Quest, uh,
Oh, that's old school.
and I'm starting to really get into Imagine Dragons, so something by Imagine
Yeah.
Dragons.
Nice. Look at you. Look how hip you are. I think they were playing Linkin Park that night. We were at that Chicago White Sox game. I think I heard some Linkin Park.
I mean, it's high energy.
That was fun. Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah, that was a lot of
That's a
fun.
good stadium.
Well, I'm headed back in July. So I
Oh, yeah.
actually,
Oh,
Cisco Executive Network is hosting their summit in Chicago
wow.
on July 28th.
Okay.
And the Phillies happen to be at the White Sox
Oh, nice.
um,
Nice.
that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I'm planning on going that Tuesday evening with whomever from the summit wants to go. So
Nice.
yeah, a lot of fun.
One last question before we wrap up. What advice would you give to recent graduates that want to break into healthcare or into cyber? Um, what advice would you have for them?
Um, I would let them know that technical skills are not the only important skill set
Hmm.
in cybersecurity, and that those soft skills, communication, working with others, being understanding healthcare
Hmm.
or whatever business they want to be in is as important as being really good at cybersecurity. Because when I hire, I don't hire for the technical skills. I can teach those. I
Hmm.
hire for the right fit in our team. And so demonstrate that you've invested in yourself. Um, Demonstrate that you have certifications, that you've got a lab, that you are doing things proactively to build your skill sets, but also demonstrate that you can have a meaningful conversation, that you can document, that you can work well with others, and
Hmm.
that you have a willingness to learn and a thirst to contribute.
No, that's great. That's awesome. Anahi, thank you so much for joining the program today and sharing your story with us. This is Ed Gaudet from the Risk Never Sleeps podcast. If you're on the front lines protecting patient safety and delivering patient care, remember to stay vigilant because risk never sleeps.